Historically speaking, if you consider things like fire, medicine, and America to be important, then you would certainly consider pyrite to be a crucial element of human history and the road to industrialization. Today, we're going to talk about how pyrite affected past civilizations and why we need really important things like sulfur, which, by the way, for a really long time came from pyrite. Pyre means fire. You see what they did there? So pyrite essentially means firestone. When rubbing two sticks together was just too inconvenient to start a fire, which, let's be honest, who wants to do that all the time? People from all over the world for thousands of years carried pyrite so that they could light fires on the go for a number of life-preserving uses, like keeping warm and having the ability to cook food. Can people start fires without pyrite? Sure, but pyrite was easy to keep on your person, easy to travel with, and easy to use to create sparks for starting a fire. Pyrite, an iron sulfide, has gotten a reputation as fool's gold, connoting worthlessness and trickery. While, yes, there have been people who mistook pyrite for gold, its worthlessness could not be further from the truth. Pyrite is an extremely significant mineral historically, but it's also a very important resource today. Before we get started, be sure to like and subscribe, and pop quiz without Googling it. Comment what you think the answer to this question is below, and I'll reveal the answer at the end. Here it is. Pyrite is used in jewelry, but it's called by a different name. What is the name of pyrite as a gemstone in jewelry? Here's the main thing you need to know about pyrite's international significance. You can use pyrite to make sulfur because it's iron and sulfur. That's what it's made of. It's what it is. And yes, while pyrite can occasionally have some gold in it, pyrite is not gold. How can you tell them apart? Well, they look different. For one, gold is a much brighter yellow, but also, if you hit pyrite with a hammer, it will shatter. Gold is malleable, so it will flatten. Who knew? I really try not to encourage people to
break that piece off.
To hit gemstones with hammers on this channel.
Hit it with the hammers.
But it just comes up a lot. It's known that China was mining pyrite for its sulfur to be used in medicine in 300 AD. Most societies then used sulfur medicinally or for fumigation. It's important to note that while some civilizations, such as China, did use pyrite to make a lot of their sulfur, not all sulfur production necessarily came from pyrite. The impact of pyrite as a sulfur source varies depending on when and where in history. Sulfur extracted from pyrite could be used to treat eczema. Sulfur is even recognized by some as one of the earliest pharmaceuticals, or at the very least the beginning of pharmacology as a science. No big deal. This went on for centuries and sulfur continues to be used in medicine today, and as we'll discuss in a minute, pyrite is still used in the modern production of sulfur. Pyrite in its crystal form was also used for a number of inventions related to its uses in creating fire. The original wheel-lock pistol, invented around 1500 AD, involved a steel wheel rotating against a pyrite crystal, which would cause a spark and ignite the gunpowder. Hi. This pyrite specimen here is from LuxeRox, a woman-owned crystal subscription box service based out of Colorado. Click the links in our description to subscribe to their 3 or 6 month crystal subscription box service, which includes a curated, museum-quality, palm-sized mineral or fossil, as well as a protective box, and even a high-quality stand for display. Pyrite is the specimen for January, but if you don't want to wait that long, you can purchase individual crystals and crystal-related gifts. Now back to the video. Now, we've seen that pyrite was significant to people who needed silly things like fire and medicine, but its impact while masquerading as gold was actually quite significant as well. During the 16th century, Spain was shipping huge amounts of gold and silver back to Europe from its American colonies in Peru and Mexico. Cartier's voyage to Canada was actually funded by the promise of diamonds and gold that turned out to be quartz and pyrite. Over time, discoveries of pyrite believed to be gold financed a series of expeditions to North America. In fact, the first expedition that founded Jamestown was on a quest for gold, encouraged by findings of pyrite pretending to be the coveted metal. They did eventually find out that this pyrite wasn't gold, and some people got in trouble for it. In spite of it not being a substitute for gold itself, pyrite was a main source of sulfur for most of sulfur's history, and was even responsible for half the world's sulfur production until the mid-20th century. The sulfur that comes from pyrite is often used to make sulfuric acid, one of the most important industrial chemicals. Are you guys ready for this? Give me a second. Okay, Sulfuric acid is used for the productions of detergents, synthetic resins, pharmaceuticals, petroleum catalysts, insecticides, antifreeze, and more. It's also used for oil well acidizing, aluminum reduction paper, sizing, and water treatment. It's also used in pigments, such as paint, enamel, ink, fabric, and paper. Sulfuric acid is also used in the production of explosive cellophane, acetate and viscose, textiles, lubricants, non-ferrous metals, and batteries. And about 69% of sulfuric acid is used in the manufacture of fertilizers. So does that mean pyrite has an effect on food production? I told you guys it was important. According to this book I read, which was written in 2015, I'm gonna link to it below, pyrite mining was then responsible for about 7 million tons of sulfur production every year, which was about 10% of the world's sulfur production. Most of the sulfur produced is used to make sulfuric acid, and most sulfuric acid is used to make fertilizer. So technically, yeah. Now it's time for the long-awaited answer to the question from the beginning of the video. What is the name of pyrite as a gemstone in jewelry? The answer is marcasite. Marcasite in jewelry is just misnamed pyrite, but marcasite out in the wild is actually marcasite, which is slightly different. Pyrite and marcasite are both iron sulfide, but have different crystal structures. Actual marcasite can react with moisture to form sulfuric acid, which is why they don't put it in jewelry. They use pyrite instead. You've probably seen marcasite, aka pyrite, in Victorian mourning jewelry. From the time of Prince Albert's death in 1861, Queen Victoria entered a period of mourning that would last the remaining 40 years of her life. This mourning was represented by wearing black clothing and jewelry, which gained popularity with the public during this time. Thank you so much for watching my video on the history of pyrite. If you'd like to learn more about the historical significance of gemstones, check out our video series on the history of jade.